Former Met Police detective Peter Bleksley. Good morning, Peter.
Good morning.
First of all, we've now got, I believe here, there's two women have gone directly to the police to say they were the victim of sexual assault by Russell Brand. He denies it, of course. So we do have an official police investigation going on in this country into what he may or may not have done. He's been accused of sexual assault and rape. Now, let's go over to LA now, in Los Angeles. You know, we heard this dramatic story last night of what he did at the BBC's LA studios. And this follows hot on the heels of one of his original accusers last weekend in the Sunday Times and on C4, Channel 4's Dispatches. She said she accuses him of raping her in Los Angeles. He denies that, of course. Important to keep stressing that. So you've got two serious allegations of sexual misbehaviour in Los Angeles. Do you think the LAPD, the Los Angeles Police Department, will now feel obliged to open their own investigation?
I sincerely hope so, because as a former detective, I used to deal in evidence, and evidence is crucial if anybody is trying to build a case of any description. And we've already heard the Metropolitan Police urging people, if they have any allegations that they want to make, to go and speak to them with regards to cases that may or may not have happened in London. And similarly, I would expect the LAPD to put out an appeal to anybody that has any allegation to make, to go forward and speak to them, because clearly matters that take place in Los Angeles are a matter for that police service and not the Metropolitan Police Service. And it wouldn't surprise me if at some stage, as part of any investigations, those two forces actually do communicate with one another. That would be right, that would be proper.
Yeah, I mean, I used to live in LA, and the LAPD is a serious police force, and I think it won't take kindly to these kind of activities, these alleged kind of activities, by Russell Brand on their patch. I think they will communicate with the London police and may well launch their investigation. So, as I say, stressing that he denies all these allegations, he's going to be in trouble on both sides of the Atlantic.
Well, we shall have to wait and see if these allegations are made to the police and whether they can gather sufficient evidence to put it forward to the prosecution services to consider whether charges should be brought. But of course, he's made a very robust denial in the past of any of these allegations, and we shall have to let not only any possible investigation run its course, but then see if the matters proceed further within the criminal justice system, whether that be in the UK or indeed in America.
I want to talk to you about Daniel Khalife in just a second, but a last question on Russell Brand. A few words from you, if you like, Peter, about the difficulty of investigating historical sex allegations. I mean, these are allegations that were supposed to have happened way back in the noughties, you know, 2006 to 2013. It must surely make it very difficult. It's difficult enough to investigate rape or sexual assault at the best of times. But if you're talking about 20 years ago, this is very difficult, isn't it?
Historical allegations can indeed be very challenging for detectives to investigate, but one thing that they would look to is something called early complaint. And by that I mean, if somebody is subjected to an assault, for example, and they, very soon after that assault has happened, tell somebody, even though they take the matter no further until some years later, that evidence of early complaint to another person, to use the official sort of legal title, can sometimes be very strong, very compelling. And I'm sure that with any historical allegation, officers always look for that evidence of early complaint. Did they tell somebody else about this?
Yeah, interesting. And I think some of these historical cases, they revolve around the police trying to sort of make a case by pattern of behaviour when alleged victims tell the same story and they don't even know each other. I think that's what did for Stuart Hall, the former TV star. He went to jail for sexual impropriety on the basis that they established a pattern of behaviour. That might be an avenue they're looking at. Now, let's move on, Peter. Let's talk about Daniel Khalife, who you may remember just a couple of weeks ago, escaped from Wandsworth Prison, attaching himself to the underneath of a lorry, delivery van, which then glided out of the gates, and he went on the run for 3 or 4 days before being apprehended just a few miles away underneath a bridge on a canal. Now, he was in the Old Bailey yesterday, charged with this offence, and he pleaded not guilty. He's pleaded not guilty to escaping from Wandsworth Prison. Now, he's got the right to do that, I suppose, but I can't help feeling that that plea will result in a case that will be a massive waste of British taxpayers' money. How can you plead not guilty to escaping from Wandsworth Prison when we all know you escaped from Wandsworth Prison?
Well, and we have to remind ourselves, even as it seems rather astonishing, people are innocent until proven guilty. So actually, Mr. Khalife remains innocent of that charge until his trial, which is going to take place in the middle of November, apparently. And this charge of escaping from prison is being tagged on to the 3 charges which he was originally being held on remand for. And so the 4 will be lumped together, for want of a better expression, onto the same indictment, and a jury will try him on all of those cases. In my policing career many years ago, I caught people absolutely red-handed in the act. Burglary, serious assault, drug dealing, stealing vehicles, any manner of crimes. Caught them red-handed, you're nicked. And was not surprised when they sometimes went to court and still pleaded not guilty. I have seen some very strange verdicts delivered by juries over the years, but that doesn't shake my belief in the system. I think we need to maintain it at all costs. Mr. Khalife will stand trial, the jury will hear the evidence, and then, of course, they will return their verdicts accordingly.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to put a whole lot of money on him being acquitted of this offence. But you're right, we have to wait to see how the wheels of justice operate. Thank you so much, Peter. Always a pleasure to talk to you. Former Met Police Detective Peter Bleksley there.